Greetings, I'm Demonac, and it's Hearthstone time.
Alright, back to part 2 of Kobolds and Catacombs set list, going through it, last 3 classes and neutral, and I'll try and fail to speed it up. Unstable Evolution here, I haven't seen this card in action. The way I understand it, it's insane. Like, So you cast it, it's 1 mana, it evolves 1 minion. That 1 friendly minion gets changed into a random minion, it costs 1 more. Repeatable this turn. So what that means, from what I understand, is once you cast this, like every time you cast this, it adds a temporary copy to your hand. When you end your turn, the temporary copy that's left in your hand goes away. But basically it means that for every mana you have, you can evolve 1 minion. But you can just keep evolving the same minion. That's nuts. So, you have you have a 2 mana dude out there. It's turn 3 now. You're like, okay, well, I'm going to hit you for 2. And now there's already attacked. You got nothing to lose now. I'm going to transform it into a 3-cost minion. Is it a good one? I don't know. If it's really good, maybe you'd want to keep it. But probably not, because you can just transform it into a 4-cost minion. Now you look at it and you're like, okay, if this one's really good, I'm going to keep it. I mean, if it has charge, bonus, I get to attack with it, and then transform it again. But, if the 4-cost minion is really great, you keep it. If not, you transform it into a 5-cost minion. Now it's turn 3, and you're ending with a 5-cost minion on the board, plus you get to attack with your existing one. And if you had multiple minions out, okay, Evolve would have gotten them all once, but it doesn't have that eraser. This, if you turn your 1-cost minion into a Doomsayer, you're like, that's not what I wanted. Boop. You pay 1 more mana. Now he's not a Doomsayer. It is so, I don't know. There's enough RNG in Hearthstone. I can see that this card isn't going to completely dominate the universe. But on the other hand, you have, a 3-cost minion alive on your 7th turn. You're like, okay, I'll do whatever with my 3-cost minion, and then I'll turn it into a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, no, that's a really good 8. I got Ragnaros? Okay, you can say Ragnaros. I will save my other 2 mana or whatever I had left and not evolve you past Ragnaros, as it turns out. The number of rolls that you get on that RNG chart, while getting bigger casting cost minions every time, just seems really powerful. Anyway, moving on. Crushing Hand, this is pretty much like having Assassinate that you can spread over 2 turns. And if you look at it that way, technically there are things that you can assassinate that you won't be able to kill with 1 8 damage hit, but most of the time, you can assassinate for, nobody down, 2 mana this turn, 3 mana next turn. That seems pretty good. Kobold Hermit, it's pretty solid. It's either a 2/2 or a 1/3 for 2 mana, except it's never a 2/2 because you get to choose which basic totem you get. So obviously you're not choosing a stupid 1/1 totem. You could get a better minion that would do that. So you get a 1/1 and a healing totem or a spell damage totem. Being able to choose the spell damage totem is pretty handy. Or whatever. And I can see that working out. He can be evolved. I'm not sure he's super amazing, but there are things that care what totems you have out. That's pretty good. Murmuring Elemental. This guy is actually very cool. It's a 1/1 elemental for 2, so he triggers your elemental stuff. And when you play him, the next battle cry you play triggers twice. So, I mean, obviously he's no Brand Bronzebeard, but you can have 2 copies of him in your deck. And that's a good mechanic. You can strategize. You sit there, okay, I could play this Fire Elemental now for when I have 6 mana, or if I waited till 2 turns later, so I could play Murmuring first, then Fire Elemental, and hit something for 6 damage. That's an interesting choice, and it's pretty good. So, he'll see a lot of play, I assume. Healing Rain. I'm not a big fan of healing cards. It actually seems pretty decent. Because it's 3 mana for 12 health. If you have no damaged minions, then you heal yourself for 12, right? It's randomly split among friendly characters. Well, if you have any damaged minions, then this should usually heal them all up and may give you some health too. Now, it could, if you had a lot of damage on your minions, it could fail to full heal them and give you more health instead. Not the end of the world. So, as far as healing cards go, seems pretty good. I'm just not a big fan of healing cards. I'm not sure how much play it would actually see. Primal Talisman. Give all your minions Death Rattle, summon a random basic totem. I mean, there's sort of a point to this, in that there are reasons that you want to have out your full totem selection. Not least of which is just the basic. If you have out the other 3 totems, you get a taunt totem every turn. But this, like, I didn't like this card when it was like, every time one of your minions dies, it gives you a beat random beast in your hand. This, yeah, it's putting them into play, okay, but you might not have space for them. The thing that gives them all Death Rattle return to your hand, that seems more powerful than this, and I wasn't a huge proponent of playing that, so I don't know. But here's one of the reasons that you want all these different basic totems, because this guy's a 5/5 for 5, okay. When you play him, if you control all 4 basic totems, you get a free Alakir. That's a good bonus. People don't like paying whatever 8 mana or whatever Alakir costs, but when you get a 5/5 for 5, and then you also get a 3/5 taunt, charge, Wind Fury, Divine Shield, that's pretty strong. Now, are you actually going to be able to do this turn 5? It's going to be pretty hard. You're going to need some kind of assistance. You're not going to get it through normal random toteming. So I don't know how good he is in Constructed, where you can try and arrange for that combo. And I also don't know how good he is in Arena, because you could spend a lot of time sitting with this guy in your hand, trying to get that 4th totem, so you could drop him down and go, ha-ha, Alakir! At which point, you're probably way past the point where you could have cast an Alakir, but this is a stronger play than just Alakir. It's just, he is very interesting, though, I'll give him that. I'm not willing to go out and just say he's bad, but I think you've got to work for him a fair amount. This guy is awesome, though. You get a 7/7 for 6. It counts as elemental, sure. His drawback and advantage is that when you play him, he bounces all of your other minions. So if you have no minions, he's a 7/7 for 6. That's okay. I'll take that. That's better than you normally get for the curve. If you have any minions with battle cries, when he bounces the minions to your hand, he changes all their casting cost to 1. So if any of them were damaged, they're getting full healed and you can replay them each for 1 mana. If they have battle cries, you get to play them again and get those battle cries again. That's super awesome. So, like, I see this, you play this guy turn 7, right? You do whatever with your minions that you have in play. Then you play him, and then you replay one of your best battle cries for the 1 other mana. And now you have him and some other guy and whatever that battle cry was. You get to re-fire elemental, and maybe your fire elemental was damaged. Like, you attacked something with your fire elemental, got it damaged, play him, bounce it, do 3 damage to something. I don't know. He seems just super, super good. I realize he's kind of like inverse situational. He's good in most situations. He's going to do something good for you. There are some situations where he would not be good. But big fan of him. Lesser Sapphire Spell Zone. I'm not a big fan of these 7 mana spell zones. I think that's what I'm finding. The 7 mana ones. On a plus side, it makes sense because they're going to sit in your hand longer. But if you draw them late in the game and then you have to do all this stuff, it's not going to work out well. But this one is 7 mana, summon 1 copy of a friendly minion. You're like, whoa, you get to copy one of your minions? That's pretty good. And of course, if you upgrade it, it can do 2 or 3 copies of a friendly minion. So this one is super powerful. To upgrade it, you got to overload it, or you got to play 3 mana worth of overload. So that's not too bad. Although having a lot of overload in your deck can be pretty disruptive. So it's a mixed bag. I like this better than some of the other ones, I guess. That summon a copy of a friendly minion is pretty good, but it suffers from the major flaw that you've got to have a big good thing alive, and it costs 7 mana, so you're probably not doing playing the big good thing on the same turn. Although, if you bounce something pretty good from World Shaker here, and then the next turn you're like, okay, I'll play that guy for 1 mana, and then Sapphire Spellstone. Now there's 4 of him for the fully upgraded one. Can't argue with that. The Rune Spear. 3/3 legendary weapon for 8. Every time your hero attacks, you discover a spell and cast it with random targets. Not my favorite mechanic, but you're going to get to do it like 3 times, and you're getting something of a weapon out of it. It is pretty strong. If you've got it, I guess you play it. Warlock, that was shown. Duh. So we got Dark Pact, destroy a friendly minion, restore 8 health to your hero. This doesn't have the stupid feature of, like, being limited to demons, or being able to blow up your opponent when they transform into Jiraxis, which is still one of the dumber game mechanics that has ever been devised. In a major game, anyway. I'm sure lots of small games have stupid small mechanics. But, yeah. 8 health for 1 minion. I mean, you gotta play this with, like, the eggs or whatever. Like, you're gonna sacrifice this egg and then get a 5/5 dinosaur out of it, or something. I'm not sure, like, that 8 health makes a big difference in how the Warlock functions. If you know you can spend 1 mana and get 8 health back, then the card drawing hurts you a lot less. The other drawbacks hurt you a lot less. But, like, this is an interesting card, but I don't think I like it. Kobold Librarian is a 2/1 for 1 who duplicates your hero power. For 1 mana, you get a 2/1, you draw a card, take 2 damage. Even though that's your hero power, you could already do that. He is still fantastic. He's a first turn, 2/1 and hero power. Or a third turn, you use your hero power, and then you use it again and get a 2/1. I find it hard to find fault in this guy. 1 mana to cycle a card is pretty damn good. So even later in the game, that 2 damage is probably going to hurt you, because you're a Warlock. But later in the game, you're like, okay, I need something big, Librarian. Okay, I have 1 less mana, and I have another chance to draw something big, come on. So he's not clogging your deck the way a lot of 1 mana minions would. Vulgar Homunculus, I like this guy. This guy's great. He's a 2/4 demon for 2. That is a fantastic stat line. He has taunt. He deals 2 damage to your hero as his battle cry. So he hurts less than the Fire Imp, and he's way better at killing shit. Instead of racing your opponent flat out, like taking 3 damage, in hopes that you're going to do 3 damage more than once to your opponent, this guy, you're taking 2 damage in hopes that this guy is going to save you more than 2 damage, and I'm pretty sure he will. Most of the time. He's just all around good. He's a better target for buffs than like a Fire Imp. So you play him, the next turn if you play just like +2/+2 to a demon thing, now he's a 4/6 taunt. That's really solid. So yeah, he's very good. Cataclysm, destroy all minions, discard your hand. I'm not a big fan of discarding my entire hand. That's usually pretty bad. I'm sure there are situations where this is not terrible. And later in the game, when you've mostly run out of cards, this is pretty good, although you're a Warlock, so you're less likely to have run out of cards. I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of this card, but you could make an argument for it, I guess. This guy doesn't need a lot of argument. He's a 4/4 for 4. If you have 15 or less health, gain +3/+3 in taunt. First off, I like this so much better than if your opponent has 15 health or less, because that is hard to control. You're a Warlock. It's very easy to control being at 15 health or less. It's like this guy is a synergy of all the things that you want. Like, he just works with all the things that you're doing anyway. He's a demon. You're going to hurt yourself anyway. Your whole point is to hurt yourself now to get more advantage. Now this is just furthering that, because if you hurt yourself by a certain amount and your opponents hurt you too, then you get a 7/7 taunt for 4 mana. Jeez. And like turn 6, you could draw a card, get this guy, and still play him for 4 mana. So, if he's going to be 7/7, that's great. He doesn't have taunt if you just play him as a 4/4 for 4. That's still viable. 4/4 for 4 is not a good stat line, exactly, but as long as the card is doing something really good otherwise, sometimes it'll be worth playing him as a 4/4 for 4. Lesser Amethyst Spellstone. So it's 4 mana to deal 3 damage to a minion only, and lifesteal. So you deal 3 damage, you heal 3. That healing is pretty valuable for a warlock. And all you have to do to upgrade this is take damage while it's in your hand. That's super easy. I think the upgrades... It's a pain in the ass for me to look them up, apparently. I think the upgrades on this are 3, 5, 7. So 4 mana to deal 7 damage to a minion and heal 7. Maybe it's 3, 5, 8 or something, whatever it is. It's probably, once it's upgraded once or twice, it's a pretty solid thing for killing minions. Not too cheap, but it's healing you a bunch, and it was really easy to upgrade. So it's not bad. I can imagine it seeing play. I really don't know how much how that's going to fit into constructed exactly, but it seems like someone's going to try and play it. Possessed Lackey. He's a 2/2 for 5. His death rattle is recruit a demon. So here's where you get into the really interesting recruits. Because, obviously you don't want to play a 2/2 for 5, but you could play with no small demons at all. The only demons in your deck are friggin' huge. Now, some of the big demons have good battle cries that you would miss out on if he's just summoning them with recruit. But you have your 2 mana 5/5, you get him out, and then when he dies, you get the shitty Doom Lord, the 6/8 for 7 or whatever he is. That's a 6/8. Then you got pretty good value from this guy. I'm not sure that use case justifies your 5 mana 2/2, but you got that. You could certainly like have big legendary demons. I mean, maybe not Jaraxxus, because you don't want to do this to get your 3/15 into play and not get all his Jaraxxus powers. But yeah, there's the 7/9 guy. It does something if your deck has no duplicates or whatever. But whatever, is a 7/9 that you can get when this thing dies. So I could see using him for things. I don't know what demons have. I can't think offhand what demons have awesome powers. Just like when they're in play, they're not battle cries. All the low cost ones have drawback battle cries usually, and then usually the high end ones, they have a good chance to have good battle cries, like the Abyssal whatever 6/6 for 7, deal 3 damage to all targets. That guy's fantastic. He'd be less good with this. You don't really want to pull him out, but whatever. Skull of the Minari. So here's a non-attacking weapon. 5 mana. At the start of your turn, summon a demon from your hand. So, I'm hoping these things take durability. I haven't seen them in action. So, yeah, that's interesting because, again, like all the early game demons have terrible drawback battle cries. This would let you have a bunch of them, and then later in the game, you sort of draw them, and you just, instead of casting it, you just let it pull one out at the start of your turn. Although then they're not attacking as soon as they would if you played them when you drew them, and yeah, so it works out kind of weird. It would obviously synergize with this guy, because the same demons you want to put out with him, you want to put out with this. You play this for 5 mana, next turn you get like a 7 or 8 mana demon, just... But then, this you want to play with lots of demons, probably, even if they're slightly skewed towards the high end, whereas this guy, you probably want to play without all the small demons completely. Just have big ones. So, I don't know. It's kind of weird stuff. Rin, the First Disciple. Oh man, I need to look up Rin over here. But yeah, so you get a 3/6 for 6, 3/6 taunt for 6. That's actually not as bad as I thought. Okay, I thought I knew what this did, but it's actually way more ludicrous because when I saw it on Facebook, I thought there were fewer steps. Holy shit, this is kind of like a crazy... So, Rin basically is starting a quest chain. And it starts from Death Rattle. It's not even Battle Cry. Oh my god. She really, really should be starting this from Battle Cry, because it's silliness. So, here's what happens. Rin dies, you add the first seal to your hand. You're like, okay, and... The first seal, like all these seals are 5 mana cards that summon a demon and then give you the next seal. So you're like, okay, the first seal, it summons you a 2/2 demon and adds the second seal to your hand. The second seal summons a 3/3 demon, adds the third seal. The third seal is apparently not done yet, because you summon a 4/4 demon for 5 mana, and add the fourth seal to your hand. Then the fourth seal summons a 5/5 demon. This is the first one that's worth the mana. Like, you have put so much effort into this quest at this point to get a 5/5 demon, and it adds the final seal to your hand. The final seal gives you a 6/6 demon. Woo, it's more than what you paid for. And adds Azari the Devourer to your hand. And then Azari the Devourer, oh, he still costs 10, and he's only a 10/10. Okay, so he's a 10/10 for 10. You still have to pay 10 mana after paying for 6 seals from your 3/6 for 6. He's a 10/10 for 10 demon. He does destroy your opponent's deck as a battle cry. It's good that it's a battle cry, because A, you've already spent 1,000 years working on this, and B, it means that if he gets summoned by a thing that summons a random demon, it doesn't trigger his battle cry and randomly destroy your opponent's deck through RNG. So, yeah. That is way... I thought it was probably too much work when I thought there were only 3 seals. Holy crap. But yeah, okay. So, I can see the use case for this. I'm not saying it's worthless, but it's really not like a serious thing. Basically what happens, so, if your deck is super atomic turbo rush warlock, just like zoo, all your shit costs like 3 mana or less, everything, and your objective is just to draw cards and play 2 or 3 mana minions, and then draw more cards, and you're not using any discard shit, because it would be the dumbest thing ever if you discarded one of these seals and therefore failed to complete your thing after going all this effort. But she could be one of your, like, 2 or 3 late game cards in your entire deck, where everything else is rush. So then you're just like rush, and you start to get slowed down, and you haven't won early on yet. So you drop down Rin, who A, slightly forestalls your doom, because she's a decent-sized taunt. Not that she's good for the mana, but, still a solid taunt-ish, I guess. And then when she dies, by this point, you can at least cast a seal. At this point, you should be able to cast a seal and one of your cheap minions every turn. So she's giving you more cards that are not costing you health through your hero power to help you prevent stall, right? So you're getting terrible value from these for a while. So she's a way to get, like, a whole ton of cards at terrible value. But the terrible value is that you're paying more mana for those cards instead of paying 2 mana and 2 life to draw a card. So that's the best justification I've got. If everything else is rush, you play her and you get your 2/2 for 5 mana. That's like paying 2 mana to draw a minion with your hero power that is a 2/2 for 3 that heals you for 2. If you follow me, that would net out to the same. If you use your hero power and you got a 2/2 for 3 that healed you 2 hit points, that would be the same as playing her 5 mana spell that just summons a 2/2 no power demon. And when you play that, you get the next card, which would be a 5 mana 3/3, then a 5 mana 4/4, then a 5 mana 5/5. At this point, you've gotten a lot of card value. You've spent a horrendous amount of mana, but you've gotten a lot of sort of card value out of this stuff. Then you have the 6/6, and then if the game's still going, you haven't lost yet somehow, then you get to play your 10/10 and blow up your opponent's deck, which is terribly demoralizing, and it puts them on a clock. But, I don't know. That's the only usage case I see. If the entire rest of your deck is super cheap, then the fact that these things cost too much mana, and it's going to take you a long time to do it, is maybe not as big a deal. But that's a lot of caveats. Mostly she's not going to see play. And then Void Lord, 3/9, taunt. For 9 mana, you paid 9 mana for this thing. When it dies, it's going to give you 3 regular Void guys, like 1/3 demons with taunt. So, not a good card particularly. He's there because he works well with what's his, like, possessed lackey, right? If you possessed lackey him out, you're not going to be sad to get 3/9 taunt that breaks up into a 3/9 worth of 3 taunts. This is This demon is there. He's literally, his purpose in life is to be a pretty good value if you don't pay the casting cost. That is his whole purpose in life. And to help you survive in the late game when you badly need to survive. I mean, I'll give him this. I like him better than the piece of shit, like, big tar guy. But, I don't know. He's only going to see play in decks that have some alternate way to put demons into play. And he's largely there for things that RNG demons, so you can, like, Bane of Doom and get a Void Lord. Whatever. Not that interesting. Okay, Warrior, we have Bladed Gauntlet. It is a 0-2 weapon for 2, but it has attack equal to your armor. Yay! But it can't attack heroes. Boo. So, I mean, early in the game, you could use this to, like, armor up and then kill some things. But unless you have other cards, like, if you're using your hero power to fuel this, it's not going to be good. If you're using other cards that give you large amounts of armor for cheap, or large amounts of armor alongside some other beneficial thing, like a minion, then this might actually be okay. And if your whole deck is based around gaining armor, then late in the game, this will cost you some armor to attack, because you're going to take damage. But it would be a way late in the game for one card to let you kill 2 potentially large enemy minions. So, yeah. It takes a certain kind of deck, but I can see why they made it anyway. Dry Whisker Armorer. This guy's really solid. He's just a 2-2 for 2. For each enemy minion, you gain 2 armor. He doesn't have the drawback of a lot of the similar things where he can't overheal you. He can totally overheal you because it's armor. You can be at full health. Doesn't matter. Early in the game, he's going to give you like 2 armor and be a weak 2-mana minion. Later in the game, he could easily give you 6 armor, which would help fuel other stuff, like your Bladed Gauntlet. So, yeah, I see nothing wrong with him. He's pretty solid. Kobold Barbarian. 4-4 for 3. At the start of your turn, he attacks a random enemy. I'd play that. I don't know. That is both a fair drawback for a 4-4 for 3. You can get a 3-4 for 3 that has no drawback and probably has an advantage. So it's not like he's overpowered. But it's also not that big a drawback, so I can totally see playing him. There are a lot of times when he is going to completely screw you. He's going to attack the player when you wanted him to kill a minion. He's going to attack a minion when you want him to kill a player. He's going to attack the one minion you didn't want him to waste his time on, or the one minion that would kill him and survive. But you get a 4-4 for 3. Seems pretty worthwhile. Seems like a reasonable card. Reckless Flurry. 3 mana. Spend all your armor. Deal that much damage to all minions. I missed this somewhere when I saw cards previously. Being able to, if you have enough armor, board wipe, that's pretty good. I mean, it is a 3 mana board wipe. It requires other stuff. But early in the game, you may only need 3 or 4 armor to wipe the board with this. Okay. If sometimes there are situations when that's worthwhile. You do lose the armor, but getting hit once for that much is probably better than the amount of damage that all those minions you killed would have done. So, okay, that's a pretty cool card. Is it the best ever? I don't know. The one thing is, if your deck is about generating massive amounts of armor and major control, this actually starts seeming like a little, like you don't want to spend 15 armor to clear the board, even though it is cheap and you're probably going to do it, but you're not going to be happy about it if your objective is to accumulate as much armor as possible. If your objective is to accumulate a whole bunch of armor and then use it attacking, and you're going to get hit anyway, so normally I guess this is not really a problem, but anyway. Gather your parties, just recruit a minion. Not a big fan of this card. It's 6 mana. It has no limitations, so this can get the smallest minion in your deck, it can get the biggest minion in your deck. Obviously, what would make this awesome is if all the minions in your deck cost 6 mana or more and had no battle cry or drawback battle cries. Well, that's hard to do. At that point, you're trying to make a half-minionless warrior deck. You're trying to make a warrior deck that uses no minions in the early game, or at least no minions that are actually a minion in your deck. If you had spells that made minions, that'd be fine. That is... I'm sure someone will try and make a deck like that, and that's interesting, but in general purpose, I don't think it's that great. Unlike this guy, who is a 5/9 taunt for 6. He can only attack if you have 5 or more armor. But A, he's a huge taunt that is helping you to get more armor. And B, he's, like, okay, he can't attack, but enemy minions that attack him, they're probably going to die, because he's got 5 attack. No, I like this guy overall. He's not, like, super blow-your-mind amazing, but that is a big enough minion, I think, to justify that drawback. Unidentified Shield, one of your unidentified cards, which I now have to dig through all these seals to get to. There we go. But yeah, so it's 6 mana, you gain 5 armor and some other effect. You're like, okay, I know I like armor now, but that other effect better be awesome. So let's see the other ones we have here. So your options include gain 10 more armor. Well, now it's 15 armor for 6 mana, which is a lot, but that's also pretty expensive. Not a huge fan of that. I'm sure in these control decks you can make other use of the armor and stuff. Like, if you had that version of the shield, that would be a great card to play after you Reckless Flurry, spend all your armor to kill all the enemies, and they're like, well, at least he's got no armor now, and then you're like, shield! You're back up to 15. Okay. But really, is that what you want in your deck? I don't know. The Serrated Shield gain 5 armor, deal 5 damage. Well, that's basically the same as the Priest spell that's deal 5 damage, heal 5. It's better, obviously, because you can go over healing, and because you have armor synergy instead of healing synergy. So that one is kind of worth the slot, but it's the fact that the slot is random, that's only a 1 in 4 chance, is kind of like, ew. Other options, gain 5 armor, and a 5/5 golem. Well, this just turned it into a different card. There's that 5/5 for 6 that gives you 5 or 6 armor. I think 5 armor. So you basically got the same thing as that. Except, and that's okay. It's worth a card. Except that it's random, that when you put this in your deck, you don't know if that's what you're going to get. And the other one, oh my god, that thing is popping up over the arrow button. Piece of crap. Is Spike Shield. Gain 5 armor and a 5/2 weapon. Well, your 5/2 weapon is worth 5 mana, so that is a pretty good value. I think this one really suffers from the randomness. Like I liked the Priest unidentified card. I thought that the effects were all like it was a minion buff and then something that is as good as a card. These are all just kind of like an average sort of card. Some of them are average to good. And there aren't a lot of other cards that gain you 15 health, especially when that health is armor, which can go over your max and can help you fuel these other effects. But the base effect of 5 armor is for 6 mana is not that good. So the other effects have to be really good, and you're paying a lot for those random effects without knowing when you put it in your deck what you're going to get. So I don't know. It is just so RNG. Like, this is kind of RNG. I like the theory of the unidentified things, RNG. I like that it's RNG what you get in the game, but you can still use it strategically, because you see what it is when you get it in your hand, and you choose the best time to use it when you know it's going to be 10 extra armor, or when you know it's going to be the weapon instead. I like the way that mechanic works, but not a big fan of the effects on that one, so I don't really like that card. Okay, Lesser Mythical Spellstone is one of the 7 mana ones. At 7 mana, you get a 5/5 golem. That's obviously terrible. You have to it upgrades whenever you equip a weapon. Okay, that's not too hard to do. And if you're trying to do like a low minion deck for some reason, I guess you're going to have lots of early game weapons, right? So that's not too hard to upgrade it once. Twice is doable. You get a second 5/5 golem or 3 5/5 golems. I mean, 7 mana for 3 5/5 golems is pretty good, obviously, but before that is not that impressive, so I don't know. Geosculptor Yip is pretty sweet ass. It's a 4/8 for 8. At the end of your turn, summon a random minion with cost equal to your armor up to 10. So, if you have a decent amount of armor, even like 6 or something, he is summoning a free random minion at the end of your turn, every turn, and is interesting because it's going to fluctuate as your armor goes up and down. It's random, but it's not coming out of your deck, so it's not like eating your cards either. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, it's always going to be equal. You can try and rig it. You're not going to be very successful because there's too many minions at each casting cost level. But he's pretty sweet, and of course he would benefit from the what's her face, the 1/5 for 3 that gives you double your end of turn effects. So I don't know. He's cool. I don't know how exactly he works on stuff, but certainly if your plan is to make a super control-y warrior deck, this seems like pretty good kill. And whoa, Cleaver, another 8 mana 3/3 weapon. This one, every time your hero attacks, recruit a minion. So this is, again, if you have regular small minions in your deck, that's not as cool. If your deck is rigged to try and work with the gather your party, that's the same thing that works with this. If your deck only contains big expensive minions, kind of like 6 and up sort of minions, then this is going to give you great value when it comes out. Is it worth building your deck that way as a warrior? I don't know. I think the hunters have a little bit more support for it, but we'll have to see. Okay, neutral cards. Dire Mole. It's a 1/3 beast for 1. That's fine. Not that excited, but finally you can get a 1/3 with a keyword that is not a class minion. Yay. Feral Gibberer. This guy is weird. 1/1 for 1. Every time he attacks the enemy hero, he adds a copy of himself to your hand. I'm assuming that's like a base copy. It's not including like buffs and stuff. If that included buffs, that could get very interesting fast. I don't think that's the case. Whatever. Gravelstone Knight is a 2/3 for 1. Battlecry summons a 1-cost minion for your opponent. Excuse me. So your 2/3 is most likely better than their 1-cost minion, unless they get a Gravelstone Knight and then laugh their ass off. But is it really enough better? Because theirs is going to get to attack first. So, yeah, it doesn't seem that good to me. Wax Elemental is your 0/2 Taunt Divine Shield Elemental for 1. You know what? He's a 1-cost minion that can take 2 hits. He's actually pretty crappy in the early game. You'd rather have some kind of taunt that has 1 or 2 attack, because in the early game, 1 or 2 attack kills things, like, significantly. So he's made much worse from that point of view. But he's also a 1-mana elemental, which helps for triggering your elemental combos. And if you're going to draw a 1-mana minion later in the game, the fact that he has Divine Shield and Taunt actually makes him pretty, like, more valuable than your average 1-cost minion if you draw him on turn 7 or later, you know? He is still going to take 2 actions by your opponent to get through, even if all their stuff is big and, like, they can afford everything. So he's actually a little bit more interesting than he looks, but I don't know how much play he's really going to see. Plated Beetle is going to see a lot of play. It's a 2/3 beast for 2, which is already pretty good, and his Death Rattle gives you 3 armor. It's not health, it's armor. It works for anyone. It's armor for any class. You're going to definitely see him in the Druid decks, and you're probably going to see him in some of the armor warrior decks. Not the decks that are going for that I only have big fat late game minions, but you could definitely see him, I'm sure, in some more normal warrior decks that rely on armor. Scorpomatic is a 1/2 mech for 1. Haven't seen mechs in a while, and the keyword is basically worthless in standard. But a 1/2 for 2. Battlecry, destroy a minion with 1 or less attack. So that's interesting, because there are probably a lot of specific things that you might want to have that for. He blows up wax elementals. That's obviously not it. But there are probably some, like, major low attack things that you use this to blow up, where you'd actually get more advantage than you would normally get for a 2-mana minion. I mean, you could also combo it with Paladin stuff that reduces attack to 1. Then you're using 2 cards, one of which is a crummy 1/2 for 2. But still, for 2 cards, you could kill pretty much anything. If you humility something and then kill it, you peacekeeper something and then kill it with this. I don't know. It is a little interesting. I'm wondering if, like, 1 or less attack might be too low to catch some of the things, but it would blow up, say, the 1/5 that doubles your opponent's end of turn powers. Yay. Boisterous Bard. It's a 3/2 for 3. Give all your other minions +1 health. That's okay. I don't find it that interesting. Dragon Slayer is a 4/3 for 3. Deal 6 damage to a dragon. So there was a guy that did this for Demons, right? Or there's a 4/3 for 3 that, I don't know, hated demons somehow. Or no, he silenced demons. That's why he was stupid, because especially at that point, especially early on when he came out, most demons had card text that they didn't want anyway. But 6 damage is a good number. That'll kill most of the non-legendary dragon cards. So you get a 4/3 for 3 that counters dragons. So that's actually kind of interesting to have that as a, putting that in the set to allow people to deal with the dragons if the dragons get too strong in the meta. If the dragons are not too strong in the meta, you just won't see much of her. So I get that. Fungal Enchanter, 3/3 for 3. He restores 2 health to all friendly characters when he comes out. That's pretty good value. There are a lot of situations where that's going to be better than the Farseer dude, who's like 3/3 for 3, neutral, restore 3 health to 1 character. This guy is almost always going to replace that guy, I think. Kobold Apprentice is very good. He's solid. He's a 2/1 for 3 who casts Arcane Missile when he comes out. I mean, I guess he can't be boosted by spell damage because it's a battle cry. But that's a pretty good battle cry. Now you're getting a 2/1 and a 1 mana spell for 3 mana. I mean, if you do the math that way, the value is not great, but getting a minion and an Arcane Missiles is pretty good, and he's a neutral, so, like, what do you want? That's, I don't know, he's fine. Lone Champion, I like the Lone Champion. He's a 2/4 for 3. When you play him, if you control no other minions, he gains Taunt and Divine Shield. It's really easy to have no minions in play, especially turn 3, but even later in the game, you just wait till your opponent does something and kills all your minions, then you play him, you get a 2/4 Taunt Divine Shield for 3 mana, which is, it's not like it's not world shaking. Taunt is not one of those, doesn't tend to be one of those abilities that's gonna ridiculously swing things in your favor by getting it cheaper. But still, a 2/4 Taunt Divine Shield for 3 mana is excellent, excellent value, and his drawback is very manageable, so I can see him showing up in a lot of places. If you have a deck that has minion buffs, he's a pretty damn good target for it. I mean, you might even see him in, like, I would almost play him in, like, a Zoo Warlock sort of deck. Not that I play Zoo Warlock, so I'm probably on crack, but to me, a lot of times you're going to lose minions and just not have that many minions on the board, and then you drop this guy out for cheap, and then boom, you've got some protection. But if you do have the momentum, you are winning. He's a 3 mana 2/4. He's not very aggressive, but he's fine, and he survives board wipes better than a lot of your other shit. So, yeah, seems like a solid choice for me. Rummaging Kobold, I kept getting this guy offered to me in dungeon runs. It was like, no, you're a terrible card for this situation. But if you were building a deck in Constructed, this guy seems kind of cool. 1/3 for 3, terrible stats, but his battle cry takes one of your destroyed weapons, so any weapon that you've already used this game, and puts it in your hand. Well, that's friggin' useful. You're probably not playing him on turn 3 most of the time, because there's a limited selection of cheaper weapons that are good. Although, he's neutral, so I'm thinking Warrior is what I think all the time, but other classes do have some okay, like, 2 mana weapons and stuff like that. Get 1 back, that's okay. Probably you're playing him later in the game, but for 3 mana, you get a crap minion, you get back a random one of your destroyed weapons, and you get to use it again. What if you only have, like, legendary, like, crazy weapons in your deck, so you just use them up, play him, get them back? Frick, that's pretty sweet. If you have the Paladin legendary, that weapon that had it's a 4/2 for 6, with the Death Rattle, that it becomes a +4/+2 on one of your minions in your hand, with the Death Rattle, that when it dies, you get back that weapon. This guy could give you an extra copy of that thing going around. What? It wouldn't really work out too well, because if you still had one, and then minion died with the Death Rattle, it would go away, but whatever. he's pretty interesting and good, just not in like the situations I was getting in. The stupid sewer crawler. It's a 1/1 for 3, battlecry, summon a 2/3. It is the exact same thing as that shitty 2/3 hunter for 3 that gives you a 1/1 beast as a battlecry. Except that he's got less stats up front, more on the battlecry, so if you have stuff that manipulates battlecries, he would be better than her piece of crit. But not good. Shrieking Shroom. It's a 1/2 for 3. At the end of every turn, it summons a random 1-cost minion for you. This is a cool card. It's a fun card. It's a very fun gal. I'm not sure it's actually good. But, okay, it's a cool, fun card. If this thing sits out there, it's going to keep summoning 1-cost minions. They're not going to be that powerful. It's going to give you okay value, like the totem that summons Murlocs. So if the totem that summons Murlocs is working well with your Murloc tech, this you have no idea what you're going to get, but whatever. If it lived for a while, it'd be okay. I think it's more of a joke card, not like a serious card, but someone's going to prove me wrong. Stoneskin Basilisk, you get a 1/1 Divine Shield Poisonous Beast for 3. I mean, it is a beast, and it does have a way to live long enough to use its poisonous on the thing you want. It just seems vastly inferior to the bee, which was a 2/2 stealth poisonous beast for 3. Stealth, for something like this, where its whole objective is just to live long enough to attack, I would rather have stealth. Stealth is going to be more reliable than Divine Shield, especially since the other thing has more stats. I don't know why they couldn't make this guy like a 1/2 at least. Like, he's super fragile, but whatever. Toothy Chest. Mostly it's a bad... I mean, I guess it's not the worst. It's a 4/4 for 3, except that at the beginning of your turn, that when you first play it, it has no attack. So if your opponent has any minions, they can beat the shit out of it and not lose their minions. Whereas your average 4/4 for 3 is going to have some kind of other drawback. But if your opponent wants to kill it, they're still going to take 4 damage on whatever attacks it. So it seems kind of bad. It is the at the start of your turn set its attack text. So if stuff reduces attack, yay, you're protected. If there's a solo adventure boss that sets all minions attack to 1, or sets all minions, or whatever, maybe he gets around that. I don't know. Or certainly if it's, like, he gets around the paladin things. I can't see him being that good. Unless something came out that, unless there's a recruit for minions that have 1 or less attack. The only thing I can think of that's like that is specifically 1, 2, or 3 attack. That's not helpful. And then the other ones are like usually based on casting cost. They're like 4 or less mana. I don't want to recruit him for 4 or less mana. I want something good that costs 4 mana. So I don't see him working out. But I guess he's an interesting enough card. It's not like it doesn't have a right to exist. Void Ripper is a 3/3 demon for 3, neutral demon. Hooray. Battlecry, swap the attack and health of all other minions. So there's one that's situational. I mean, usually he's not going to be terrible. A lot of minions have the same attack and defense. Or so often he's going to come out and maybe he's only switching 1 or 2 things, or things that have taken damage or whatever. There is some potential to make crazy plays with him. So he's kind of interesting that way. It's a battle cry. He's pretty solid. He's like an alchemist. I could see including him in decks. Probably if you're trying to do some crazy combo. But yeah, he's an interesting and good card. Even though sometimes you're not going to want to play that because it's such a wide-ranging power, it could actually screw you. Zola the Gorgon is a 3-mana legendary. I like cheap legendaries. They're way more interesting than just adding another 12 6-mana and up legendaries that mostly won't get played. She's 2/2 Battlecry. Choose a friendly minion. Add a golden copy of it to your hand. The golden is kind of funny, but mostly it's for 3 mana, you get a 2/2 in play, and you get an extra card in your hand, but you have pretty good control over what that card is. You're copying a friendly minion. On the downside is a friendly minion, so you have to set it up where you have a minion that is not dead, that is worth doing this to. But no, she's definitely good. She's very good at enhancing combos, like increasing the chances that you can make certain kinds of combos work. So that's pretty cool. Cursed Disciple, you suck. You're a 5/1 for 4, and when you die, you get another 5/1. Woo. Nope, just sucks. I don't even think that Death Rattle is good enough for most things that copy a Death Rattle. Like, if you had him out, sure, that's worth copying with the Raptor or whatever. But you're not going to play him just for things that copy Death Rattles or that activate Death Rattles. He's just actually not good. He's a neutral card that will not be played. Evan Dragonsmith is a 3/4 for 4. I've seen a lot of 3/4 for 4s, and they're usually bad. This guy counts as a dragon. I think that was true of the other guy, too. But his battle cry, reduce the cost of a random weapon in your hand by 2. Okay, I actually like him. If you're going to have big weapons in your deck, and there are a lot of legendary weapons in this set, so everyone kind of has them now. Even the non-weapon classes have some kind of, like, usually 5-mana non-attack weapon. So 3/4 for 4, reduce the cost of a weapon by 2. That's saving you some mana. That seems pretty worthwhile. And if it lets you get out a 7 or 8 cost weapon on turn 5 or 6, you're probably getting a pretty good advantage from that. Plus, he counts as a dragon, so kudos. So it's fine. Hoarding Dragon. He's a 5/6 for 4. His drawback is Death Rattle. Give your opponent 2 coins. I like this card. I think this is a good design card. Those 2 coins could definitely screw you. If he dies too fast, and your opponent uses those 2 coins to get out a 7 or 8 mana minion on turn 5 or 6, you're going to be sad. But it's not the most crippling drawback. If you get him later in the game when people don't have many cards in their hand, that's probably his drawback probably falls off, where now it doesn't matter anymore. On the other hand, if your opponent has advantages for casting spells, it would be terrible. Whatever, it seems like of all the sort of 5/5, 5/6 for 4 type minions, he seems not bad. And he counts as a dragon, so he powers your dragon stuff. But I do like how it conveniently has 6 health, which is the same amount that Dragon Slayer wants to blow up. It's like, I'm coming for you, I'm going to slay you, and get your coins. It's a story in 2 cards. Kobold Monk is a pretty cool card. He's a 3/6 for 4, great stat line. Your hero can't be targeted by spells or hero powers. That's cool. If they want to hit you with spells, they have to get through him first. He doesn't have taunt. He basically has taunt for spells. And his health is enough that it's going to take some effort to remove him. His attack is good enough that minions hitting him are going to take relevant damage. Small minions would die. Just solid all-around card. I don't know how broadly you would play him. I'm sure that in Constructed he is going to be a counter for some decks. But yeah, no, he just seems like an all-around good, solid card. I like him. Shimmering Courser. Get yourself a 3/3 unicorn for 4. Counts as a beast. Only you can target her with spells and hero powers. So, it's a 3/3 for 4 that can't be targeted by spells, but you can still target it with spells. I can see that going. I can see the appeal of that anyway for a deck with a lot of minion buffs, like some of the Paladin decks are going to be. So that's kind of interesting. Is it actually good? I don't know, but I don't think you would want to make it cheaper just in case, because you play that in Paladin deck. It's like, okay, here's my 3/3 for 4 that can't be targeted. Then I'm going to play draw a card, get a bubble. So now it's a 3/3 with a bubble, and you can't target it with stuff. So even if you're a mage, you can't shoot off that bubble. And then next turn, I'm going to oh, you survived this long? Blessing of Kings, you are now a 7/7 untargetable minion. Go forth. So, that's pretty cool. It is a way to protect your minion buffs, if you look at it that way. Shroom Brewer, 4/4 for 4, battle cry, restore 4 health. He's just a bigger version of the 3/3 for 3 health guy. Same difference. It's fine. Sneaky Devil. He's a 2/2 stealth demon for 4, who gives all your other minions +1 attack. He's the opposite of the blood one, or whatever. That's pretty interesting. He can attack for 2 damage if you need him to. But he also, he's buffing your army, and he's a pain in the ass to get rid of, except with area spells. I don't know. That's pretty cool. He's also a neutral demon, also cool. The Darkness. Here's your... This is what I was thinking. This is, for some reason, this is why I had 2020 in my mind for what you get after going through 1,000 seals from whatever warlock person. He's a 2020 for 4 mana, but he starts dormant, and he shuffles 3 candles into the enemy deck. So it's not even your deck. You can't accelerate this by drawing cards faster. You'd have to help your opponent draw cards faster. When your opponent draws... Wait, so when your opponent draws 3 candles, is it when he draws any of the candles he awakens, or when they draw all 3 candles he awakens? Hold on. I don't know this information. I'll have to look it up. There's a huge difference. Okay. Like, Dormant, he's still targetable, right? But he's got 20 health, so your opponent's got to spend something good to kill him. They're not going to kill him with damage. Like, I'm assuming he's targetable. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not like... If he just uses the same rules as that plant guy, he'd be untargetable, just eating a slot on your board. In which case, they can't take him out. But that also makes sense, because they can't let you give him taunt. That would be stupid. It makes a huge difference. If your opponent has to draw... If the first candle your opponent draws brings him out, like, activates him, then I think he's actually pretty cool. If they have to draw all 3 candles, and when the 3rd candle is drawn, then he awakens, then no, that's way too much. Screw that. It's probably the latter, although the quote is talking about lighting a single candle, so I don't know. Sorry, I don't have that information. I don't want to spend that much time Googling it. Arcane Tyrant, 4/4 elemental for 5. He costs 0 if you've cast a spell that costs 5 or more this turn. That's spells. It's not like a card that costs 5 or more. But, that seems pretty cool. 4/4 for 5, not good. 4/4 for 0, good. Except that he's obviously not going to come out early in the game. Unless you have a thing that casts a random spell, in which case, who knows. But, yeah. I don't know, he's interesting. I don't have a strong opinion on him. Carnivorous Cube, I think, is pretty awesome. Okay, it's a 4/6 for 5. If you have no other minions out, you just get a 4/6 for 5. That's fine. His battle cry destroys a friendly minion, which is usually not ideal, but it would trigger their death rattles if they have any. His death rattle is to summon 2 copies of the minion that he destroyed. Now, even though I played him in an arena run, I still haven't found out yet whether the 2 copies means 2 copies of the card, or 2 copies of whatever it was at the time, including damage, including buffs. I'm pretty sure it means the card, because I think everywhere else that's copies of a card is just... It's usually just a card, but copy a minion in play actually copies a minion, including all the other stuff, so I don't know. But in any case, if you play this on a minion that has a death rattle, then you're getting 3 of that minion's death rattle, basically. So you have a minion with a death rattle. It's in play. You attack with it. Then you play the Carnivorous Cube, trigger that death rattle, and this guy has 2 copies of it inside of him now. When he dies, you have you have 2 copies now of that minion with the death rattle, which means you can get that death rattle another 2 times. 3 copies of your death rattle. And he was a decent-sized minion in the meantime. And probably, I'm assuming is how this works, if you destroyed a damage-friendly minion, you're probably getting 2 undamaged copies of it. So that's good, too. If they were charged, they would just get to attack right away when he dies. So that would be craziness. So, yeah, no, he's all kinds of interesting, and I look forward to seeing some interesting, cool stuff done with him. Corrosive Sludge, 5/5 weapon-destroying guy. They wanted to put in more weapon-destroying stuff to make more, like, viable weapon-destroying cards to make sure, because there are so many, like, crazy legendary weapons in here. Although, the legendary weapon I'm worried most about is the Paladin one, and destroying it isn't good enough. So, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, 5/5 for 5 and destroy weapon is pretty good. I like him better than sort of the mid-range guys. Like, obviously, 3/2 for 2 and destroy opponent weapon, super efficient. This guy, I'd rather have this guy than, like, the 4/3 for 3, I think. Even though 5/5 for 5 is not a great stat line. It's kind of solid. Fungalmancer, 2/2 for 5, give adjacent minions +2/+2. That's 6/6 worth of stats. some of which can attack right away if you have minions survive long enough to attack. So he's kind of good that way. I'm not really excited by him though overall. Furbolg Moskbinder. So 1/1 for 5. His battle cry, transform a friendly minion into a 6 elemental. I'm assuming that's a polymorph is going to lose any abilities they have. But that's pretty good. If you can attack with a minion first and then do that. It is 7/7 worth of, well, it's 7/7 worth of stats minus the stats of whatever minion you just transformed. I don't know. It seems cool to me. I'm not sure he's that great, but he can't be that bad, right? I mean, you're getting a 5/5. You're getting a 6/6 for 5 mana. It's replacing hopefully a bad minion like a totem or something. Should be fine. Green Jelly is a 3/3 for 5. At the end of your turn, summon a 1/2 ooze with taunt. So it's the non-legendary version of Hogger. But I mean, that means you could play 2 or in Wild 3 Hoggers in your deck. Actually, Wild is still standard, right? Yeah, no, you could basically have 3 Hoggers in your deck. The non-legendary ones have less stats, they're less aggressive, but that is a lot of things that generate a taunt every turn. That if you can keep your opponent down to 1 minion or less, are just like accumulating and preventing him from getting through. Guild Recruiter, it's a 2/4 for 5 that recruits a minion that costs 4 or less. So again, you could try and set something up where all the minions in your deck cost 4 or more. So you know that when you play him, you're getting a really good 4-cost minion, preferably a really good 4-cost minion without a battle cry. It does something else. So you could do that, and it might be good, but overall, I don't see him being that worthwhile. On the other hand, he might be okay in the arena. If you get a 2-cost minion, is it going to be worth 5 mana for a 2/4 and a 2-cost minion? I don't know. It's not that great. They couldn't make him any cheaper though, so I don't know. Trog Gloom Eater is a 1/5 taunt poisonous. Well, we wanted a minion like that. At least I did, but I don't want to pay 5 for it. 5 for a 1/5 poisonous taunt. That's a lot. Because the things you really want to kill with poisonous are often things that are going to do a lot of damage. So his 5 hit points is not enough to kill big things and survive. If you're killing small things, why the F do you have poisonous? A 3/5 would kill small things just as well as this guy for the most part. Your 3/5 taunt like Ascension. So I think he occupies an odd middle place where he has actually no real use. Makesna, the legendary, who's like a 2/8 taunt. No, she's not even poisonous. Just a 2/8 poisonous for 6. Having taunt would make her a lot better, but she still doesn't see that much play. I don't know. This guy, on the other hand, you got a 4/10 taunt for 6. His drawback is he summons a random 2-cost minion for your opponent. A lot of those things that summon a minion for your opponent, I just don't like them. Because you got the RNG, and are you really gaining him enough? This guy, I feel like he's got it going on. I feel like his ratio of what he gives your opponents to what you get is pretty good. 4/10 is a great stat line for a taunt for 6 mana. Like, that's a lot of surviving, and a pretty good amount of killing. He's going to kill anything that is not really big. He's giving your opponent a 2-cost minion. That's going to reduce his health, but how much? Like, that's going to do 1 to 3 damage to him. You're still getting a 4/7 taunt for 6, which is not bad. I don't know. For some reason, he feels like a good value to me, even though often those give your opponent a random minion things are not. Also, he might give your opponent a Doomsayer and kill it all, so who knows. Spiteful Summoner is a 4/4 for 6. Battlecry, reveal a spell from your deck. Summon a random minion with the same cost. So this is another thing. There were several mage things that gave you that made it advantageous to have mostly big spells in your deck, not as many small spells. This isn't along that cost. Like, this is is not costing you a card out of your deck. The minion is completely random, it's not out of your deck. But if you only have fairly big spells in your deck, this is going to be a 4/4, and it could get you like an additional 5, 6, 7 cost minion. That seems like pretty good value. It is a joust or type thing. No, it's not even. No, wait, it's not a joust. The other thing I talk too much about the other thing. The other thing was a joust. This thing is not. It's random in terms of what size of minion you're going to get, but it is going to work, guaranteed. So even if you have small spells in your deck, worst case you get a 4/4 for 6, and then you summon like a 2-cost minion. That's probably still 6 mana worth of stuff. But if you get a spell that's any more than 3 mana, you're probably getting good value out of this card. So yeah, it's pretty cool. So Corridor Reaver, yeah, 5/5 for 7, beast, costs 1 less whenever a minion dies while he's in your hand. So at what point is getting a 5/5 a good value? Here's the thing. At 5 mana, you're not losing out. At 4 mana, you're finally netting a gain. So you have to have at least 3 minions die while he's in your hand. That's not hard to do. Of all the conditions that have to happen when a minion's in your hand, like, it's not 4 minions died this turn, which is shit. It's like, if 4 minions have died while it's in your hand, then you get a 5/5 for 3. Okay. So I guess it's kind of a question of, like, how early you can get him out. If he comes out really early, like, if he comes out 3rd turn, then that's a pretty huge advantage. But, I don't know. Normally, you play a minion, they play a minion, you trade, they both die, and now he's a 5/5 for 5. That's not good enough. You need more death to happen before he becomes good. So really, you're probably playing him, like, later on. I don't know. I'm not sure he works out great. Like, he's interesting anyway. And there are situations where you're going to be able to make a bunch of stuff die and play him for cheap. He's a 5/5 minion that can come out potentially very cheap, but he might have to sit in your hand for a while to do it. He's probably fine. So for Vanguard, it's a 3/3 for 7. She has Recruit an 8-cost minion, which is awesome. It's very specific and obviously very powerful, except she's a 3/3 for 7. So you already have 7 mana. You're going to get 8 minion next turn. Or you could potentially get an 8 minion next turn. Anyway, now that is a free 8-cost minion. It comes with a 3/3, but yeah, I don't know. It's the thing is, I'm not sure how good that is. You got to play with. You want maybe a specific 8-cost minion, but if it's a legendary, you can only have 1 in your deck. What if you drew them first? You probably end up playing with at least 3 8-cost minions, maybe 4, so you have a better chance of not drawing them first, and then, yeah, I don't know. You start running into issues where I'm not sure it's normally going to be worthwhile. But there could be situations where she's a little bit more worthwhile than that. Let's see. Grand Archivist is pretty kick-ass. 4/7 for 8. But at the end of every turn, he casts a spell from your deck with random targets. I don't like the random targets, but this is from your deck, so you do have control when you're building your deck. You can just avoid having spells that have targets, for one thing, or limit it somewhat. So if the only spell in your deck was Flame Strike, he's going to Flame Strike every turn. I'm not 100% sure if he's casting a copy of the spell or if he's taking it out of your deck. That's another thing I'd have to look up or something. It does make a difference. If the spell stays in your deck and you can just keep doing it again and again, that would be pretty sweet if you were willing to limit yourself. Now, only having Flame Strikes as spells in your deck, or only Flame Strike and Blizzard, would mean not playing with a lot of other good cards that would help you survive the early game. And you only have 2 copies of him in there, and he costs 8, so there are all his drawbacks, but I like that kind of deck building decision. So he's very cool. I think that probably works out to be pretty good, as long as most of the spells in your deck are not targeted or can only target friendlies, that sort of thing. Then we have King Togwoggle. There's a 5/5 for 8. Battlecry, swap decks with your opponent. And you give them a ransom card, which is just like a ransom spell to swap back. It's just like a 5-mana spell, where when they play it, they swap decks with you. So, I don't think he's going to see a lot of play, because he's stupid. I mean, I guess if he didn't give them the ransom, then you'd be able to make a bad deck. This job is just to survive up till you get 8-cost minions and play him, sort of thing. But if you have a bad deck and you swap decks, then just pay 5 mana and swap back. So you got a 5/5 for 8 that cost them 5 mana. If your deck's good, depending on the situation, they may just keep your keep your deck, and still win based on what's in play. Like, who knows? Like, he's not that fantastic. I mean, I guess you could try and rig something to make it harder for them to cast spells, or to gain a benefit when they cast spell with their Krogs. Yeah, just seems like an idiot. He's up there with Mayor. All spells are random now. Mayor and the Fox, which everyone got. There's 6/6 for 8. Battlecry gives your opponent a 0/8 treasure chest. And when the chest has Death Rattle, that'll give you, like, the opponent of its owner, a loot card. It's random. They're super strong cards. They usually cost about 3 mana or whatever. They're like 3 mana, like, fill your hand with, like, draw cards until your hand is, or sorry, draw 1 card and then duplicate that card until your hand is full. So you just get like 1,000,000 copies of that card. There's one that's like, discover a legendary minion and then get 2 copies of that legendary minion put in, like, summoned into play. You're not going to get their battle prize, but holy crap, depending on what you get, it's pretty much always going to be amazing. Just super strong stuff. I don't know how he's going to work out in Constructed, but I mean, you can definitely play with things that swap the attack and hit points to easily kill the chest. On the other hand, your opponent could buff the chest and start kicking your ass. Who knows? Violet Worm, 7/7 Beast for 8. Death Rattle, summon 7/1/1 grubs. It's just kind of like a discount dragon sort of thing. It's fine, interesting, good in the arena, not super effective. Dragon Hunter is a 2/4 for 9. At the end of your turn, recruit a dragon. So he only pulls out dragons. If you only have legendary dragons, that's going to give you a huge minion. But you did play a 2/4 for 9, and he doesn't give you that dragon until the end of the turn. I guess your opponent has to choose whether to kill him or the dragon, but like, unless you have a way to get him out earlier that you wouldn't also be able to use on dragons. And that's where you come to Master Oakenheart, or Oakheart, whatever, who definitely seems to be a focus of some of those things, except I'm pretty sure he's a bad legendary, which is, of course, why I got him in a pack. He's a 5/5 for 9. His Battlecry recruits a 1, 2, and 3 attack minion. So, because it's not based on casting cost, it's just their attack, you can find particular crazy, like, expensive or powerful things that have those specific attack values, and you can try and avoid those attack values otherwise. So, for example, you can just make sure you have no 2 attack minions in your deck. Still have lots of 2 cost minions and stuff. You have no 2 attack minions in your deck, so that you'd be guaranteed to get a Dragon Hatcher when you play Master Oakenheart. But you also have to have the dragons in your deck to recruit from him, and that would only work when you get him, or else you spend 9 mana just to get him, and that starts to be like, because he's a 9-cost legendary himself, no matter how much you manipulate that, at best you're gonna get something awesome for 9 mana. Most of the time, all that work is gonna not help you out too much, so I don't feel like he's particularly good. Then we rounded out with Sleepy Dragon, which is pretty straightforward. It's a 4/12 taunt for 9. That doesn't seem like a good deal. I mean, it's one of those things that's an okay addition to dragons, in case there are things that are doing random dragons or whatever, and then you discover a dragon. This might be a great dragon to discover if you have that priest guy. But you're not going to put this main deck. 4/12 taunt for 9? I mean, you can, like, Sogoth or whatever, he was, 5/9 untargetable taunt for 9? Now, he's a legendary and not a dragon, but it's just the Etten is a 4/10 taunt for 6. So you're paying 3 mana not to give your opponent a random 2-cost minion. that doesn't seem right. So, Etten clearly seems better than this dude. Anyway, that's the set. It is a pretty interesting set. I do feel like a lot of the recruit mechanics... Recruit has a lot of potential, but a lot of the ones that actually are there seem a little bit overcosted. They're, on the plus side, they were well aware when there was a recruit mechanism that would do something super powerful that you could limit in order to only get good things. They made sure those are appropriately expensive, but it makes them harder to use unless you're building a bizarre deck that is designed to work with that specific thing. I don't know. It could be interesting, but it is a cool set, and I really like the dungeon runs. They are a lot harder than I first thought, because I won my first time, and then they got harder. But yeah, that's Kobolds and Catacombs, and we'll have to see how the set works out next time.
If you found that useful or entertaining, or if you enjoy cookies, hit the like button. And check out Tales from My D&D Campaign on youtube.com/Demonac.